So it's about questioning all these things that like bring you joy. I know you're saying like your job, but you're like, you want more.
Yeah.
But you can't have more. But what?
Let's go.
This, I feel like this has become very about me. You're not even got on the show.
That's the Tommy McCube show.
Here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack. Welcome back, talking shit and drinking wine, like and subscribe. Here's the crack.
How's it going, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Here's the Crack podcast. As usual, if you're listening, watching, be sure to subscribe, follow, like the podcast, share it with your friends and family.
Smash that like button.
Everything along lines out there gives us a real hand out, so that would be great. Thank you very much. Delving straight into the podcast this week. What was that? That was moving my hand.
Let's go.
Anyway, I wanted to start off a bit of unusual. I'm start off with a wee Ross's rants first, right? So we went to the cinema last week, and
how many packets of nachos did you get?
Pretty packed cinema. 0. Pretty packed cinema. And we were away seeing that film Bullet Train, and there's two boys sitting beside us. Every time I looked around, the guy that was with the guy to the left of me was on his phone the whole way through the cinema. And I was like, it annoys me whenever you're watching something that you're actually interested in, and like, if I go on my phone, I know annoys Lucinda, and she's the same.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to see what your thoughts were. Like, if that was Brona
You're
or
like,
Aoife.
why is she allowed in her phone and I'm not allowed in mine?
But like, it really annoyed me because I was like, you're out with your mate, like, or your partner or whatever, and you're on your phone the whole way through.
I hate that. Like.
I freak whenever I take my phone out.
But
like,
it was
if
like,
I take my phone out, it's like a wee quick fucking cover the light and all that. Brightness down
the
low.
only time I'm on my phone in the cinema is if one of you text me and I realise the brightness is up and I'm like, oh crap, better turn it down. But like, he was like, every time I looked over, like the light just kept distracting me, and when I looked over, he was on like Instagram, and then at one stage he was on TikTok.
It wasn't even as if it was fucking.
And I was like, what are you watching TikTok for? But he, like, I hear no sound. Like, I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It just really frustrated me because I was like, is this where we've got to now, where we've been like, you know what, we'll go out together. We don't even have to like be different. See, if you're at a table eating dinner and you're on your phone, you're just a dick. But at the same time, them two came to the cinema. I'm like, you don't even have to make an effort to talk to the other person.
Yeah.
And you're still on your phone.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like a millennium thing now where you're so used to watching TV while you're scrolling on your phone?
I just think it's a thing now where we're just programmed to any time where we have like any sort of second where we lose concentration into the whatever task we're doing, the immediate thing that we think about doing is bringing out our phone.
Yeah.
Like, I know anytime I'm in work and I go through like a period of like I lose concentration or like lose interest, I'm straight on my phone, and I've really started catching myself on now when I'm doing it, because you spoke to so many people even on this podcast, you're like, stop, like, it's killing you.
I seen a good thing. I was actually watching a YouTube video on productivity, and this guy made it's so simple, and I was like, wow. So he was talking,
you can do it.
He was talking about this author, and he was like, so this author, for like when he was like had to write a book or had to do something like write a book or do a certain amount of chapters, he used to book a hotel room, go to the hotel room and get the laptop out, and he'd say to himself, you can either write or do nothing else. So you can sit down at the desk or write, but if you're not writing, you're not allowed to do anything else.
Right.
So and it's so simple, because it's like, if you think, right, you sit down at your desk and you're like, you either work or your other option is to do nothing else.
Yeah.
So you can either do the work or you're going to just be bored as fuck,
Yeah.
because you're going to just be sitting there doing nothing. And if you
Yeah.
can do that, I feel like that is like, because it's so true, because you're not going to sit there just sit, you'd get bored and then you'd be like, right, well, I mean, as I get on my work now.
There's also the environment that you're in is quite a big aspect of it too. Like, if you're at home, you're going to find distractions and you're going to be like in your head, I need to do this, like something like the washing machine pings or something, I need to take those clothes out because they'll get fucking damp or something.
I feel like it just flicked in my head, and I was like, wow. I just like put my phone, I did do it. I just put my phone in the drawer and was like, right, I can either sit here and work or I'm doing nothing else, and I just have to sit there. And I was like, boom, done.
Did you not like just forget yourself and like jump on your phone?
No, because it was in the drawer. I feel like I think the thing with the phone is, if it's like you can't reach it, like if you have to go out of your way to get it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like my phone's sitting here to my right, your phone's sitting there. If you had that phone over behind you on that shelf, and we're sitting here talking, you're not going to turn around and get up and go get it.
I've noticed my Apple Watch is a big distraction.
Lad, since I've stopped wearing my Apple Watch, like,
Yeah.
seriously, because it's like, that's, you be sitting in work and even my phone will be in my pocket or whatever, and then next thing is fucking bing, bing,
Aye.
bing,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
The one
and
thing-
it does, I feel like because it like proper like vibrates your
Yeah.
wrist.
The one thing that I've stopped doing is going on my phone first thing in the morning, and I've made a point off it.
That's
Like,
the first thing I do.
because as soon as I wake up, I turn my alarm off and I'm straight on Instagram or TikTok. And like I've noticed the past few mornings, like if I want to be in work for like if I'm traveling up to Belfast, I need to leave at like past to give myself plenty of time. There's been a few mornings I haven't been even getting out of bed until past. And like this was before I went on holidays, and then I just went, no, like I'm not doing this anymore. So when I come back, I made a habit of like, no, you're not going on your phone in the morning. Your alarm goes off. Like this morning, I had a gym session, but straight up, turned my phone off, up, and I made a point of setting it 20 minutes before I should have got up.
Yeah.
Would
And I
you
was
sit
straight
in
up.
bed and scroll on your phone? Like
At night time?
But whenever you get up in the mornings, would you just stay
Yeah.
in bed and like scroll your
Yeah,
phone?
I think it's like I would get up and just scroll through TikTok and just keep lying there. But I'm like almost like I create scenarios in my head which validates me being on my phone, such as, oh, I can't fall back asleep, so I'll just scroll through TikTok for half an hour here before I get up. And then that could be half an hour. You could be up getting breakfast, getting ahead of your day, doing stuff. And it's the same thing like when I'm working from home.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh no, it's like, Apple Watch goes off, start to take my Apple Watch off now. But then I notice myself like, I'm like, I'll just go to the toilet here. I need to go to the toilet. I do not need to go to the toilet. I'm just going because it validates me scrolling on my phone for another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the thing as well, is like when I go to the toilet now, I bring my phone with me and you end up sitting there. Just you can't go without your phone.
And then you
Just
get
take
up.
a real long piss. Like.
But I think it is getting bad, like, because it's like, even the likes of cinema, like, it's a time to just switch off, like.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't even do that now, like.
I must admit, we had yesterday off because it was public holiday, and Lucinda was like, we were up at the port, and Lucinda was like, Mom, we'll go swim in the sea, and that's probably the first time we've been in a while, and I was like, yeah, and I left my phone behind. We were out for like 2 hours, and then I came back, didn't grab my phone. I honestly forgot about it. Then we're sitting there watching TV, and it was whenever I messaged you to say, just want to get this call about the podcast.
Yeah.
I went on, no, like very few notifications. And I was like, see if that was my time, you'd have been like almost like on your phone checking.
Yeah. My day went so bad. It started that night. I thought I was working Monday, like. Came fucking Sunday evening. I was playing a bit of Rust and I was like, log off early here, jump on edit this podcast, like say about 5 o'clock or so. Next thing, seen the message and I was like, yes, let's go. I played Rust at 6:30 the next morning and I woke up at like fucking 10:30, like done nothing but played Rust. I was up at like 9 the next morning to go get my haircut. No, sorry.
But you see,
that was the day before. But then I just played right through, got up, got my breakfast, edited like the podcast for an hour. But because I was at my desk, I was like, you know what, I'll just switch on Rust for a wee while.
I don't think that's too bad though.
6 more hours.
I would argue, I think what you're doing is probably going to kill you, but at the same time, I'm more talking about how we rely on our phones, and it almost like kills.
Yeah,
the
but it just
you know what
killed
I mean?
my
Like,
whole motivation.
yeah, fair.
It just sucked me in, and I didn't see daylight that day. Like.
Yeah.
I had the blind down, like, so I could see the screen better.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, cause even like me and Bruno went out for dinner with my ones, and then me and her stayed out and like had a few drinks and stuff, and like just looking around the restaurant and like couples sitting on their phones, and then we went out for dinner again the next day.
Oh, flip me, influx of cash.
Had a wee voucher, and it was the same.
Yeah.
And it's just couples sitting on their phone, and you're just thinking, I don't think it's as bad when you have been together so long, but at the same time it's still bad. But like there's sometimes I look at couples and I'm like, are you like on a first or second date here and you are both sitting on your phones, and I'm thinking like, fuck me, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have this thing, like whenever I'm going into the restaurant I'll probably be on my phone and stuff, and then whenever I sit down maybe at the start of it, because I just want to get everything done before, and then I'm going to enjoy my meal.
Yeah.
She gets so pissed off at that, like she'll get really annoyed about that, me being on the phone. But as soon as she takes out the phone, it's like, oh, no remarks passed. And then as soon as you whip it out for 1 minute, it's like,
yeah. I like the whole no phone on the table when you work for dinner. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole psychology behind it. It's like, if it was like I've listened to a podcast and they were talking about it, and it was like they're basically putting the phone on the table as if like it's more important than this conversation. Like, if this phone, I need my phone here, so if it goes off, I can get to it straight away.
Oh, you're saying rather than in your pocket?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like when your phone's in your pocket, you're giving the person your full attention. Like.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
That's
And
an
it's like-
interesting
Then
one.
sometimes I take stuff out of my pocket because my pocket's bulging.
I know, but like, Jesus Christ.
See, I
You
did
have to
that.
point,
See,
like-
I'm just saying, man.
see, I did that. Me and him were bootleggers the other day, and my phone was bulging. Like, I felt like my phone was an obstruction of my pocket.
Yeah.
I just lifted it out and put it on the chair. Because like
Like,
I've
and you know
noticed
how tight my jeans
yeah,
are. Like.
I know. I'm surprised your phone fits in
I
your
think
jeans.
it's
I've been looking into
Yeah,
it for a
cunt.
while now, and like trying to I know it sounds so cliche, trying to be better. Like, I've been trying to like just, because I'm like, nothing is more important than spending time with people. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's like, what the heck are you doing? Like?
Yeah.
And then even sometimes, do you ever notice yourself sometimes in this mindless scrolling circle where you're almost on the sofa? Like the other night, Lucinda was finishing watching the end of The Boys season 2, and I kind of knew what was happening, so I was scrolling away just on Instagram. The next minute, opened up TikTok for about 3 seconds, came back off, went back onto Instagram again, scrolled for like 30 seconds. Next minute, opened up my photos, just scrolled through my photos and have a look. And I was like, I am scrolling because it's just like it's programmed into
That's
the
even
it's
when
just like,
we had your buddy Matthew McNabb on, and he was like there's times I'd be on TikTok and I'm scrolling for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm sitting there like, I'd be scrolling for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
wish
what
I could
the
do
fuck?
20 minutes.
He's like, I'm a disgusting human being. And I'm sitting there like,
need a
screen time
different
7
mindset.
hours a
Go to the
day.
toilet for 20 minutes just
we
to go
need
for a
to
scroll.
rewire ourselves.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
Yes,
Ross?
anyway,
Let's
this
go.
week we decided to catch up with Sinead Hegarty. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sinead is well known in Northern Ireland. Oh, she's well known and abroad since I figured out that James Smith was following her the other day. I was like,
Oh.
wow.
Yeah.
Claim the fame.
That
Claim-
could be your way in.
Claim to feel that could be my way in. But yeah, no, we had Sinead on the podcast this week, and we decided to chat to her about some things that we don't really particularly talk about often. We talk about the whole meditation, mindset, relationships, all that there. So
All
yeah,
that good stuff.
I'll not spoil it for you now. So yeah, we'll cut over to that conversation with Sinead. Let's go.
Here's the crack.
Sinead Hegarty is on the podcast. We
Thanks
just
for having
had
me.
we just had while Tom was getting the camera sorted. You were doing the whole. I didn't actually realize that this could pick up like on such little like tiny. You were doing like nail movements,
Do you want
which
me to
kind
do
of
it? This is the exclusive ASMR, guys.
You heard it here
I'm
first.
so into ASMR, so it's like, does that give you brain tingles?
I don't
Kinda-
think you're going to get it if you're listening on like a speaker. You need headphones.
Hold on, I'll turn your mic up fully.
Wow,
Oh.
that's sexy, isn't it? It's making my mouth water.
Wow.
Okay, right.
That was an exclusive, lad. Bang bang. First of all, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
I feel like because the stuff you do is not really stuff that we're like familiar with. We don't know a lot about it.
Right.
I was a bit like, I don't know, because I don't want to have a conversation with someone who I don't really know a lot about. But then I
Yeah.
thought this might be a good opportunity to delve into stuff.
But I'm also really good crack.
Yeah.
Like, you're really missing that point.
We'll find that out.
Yeah.
But I suppose a lot of people know you and know what you do, and I think
But you don't.
yeah, but I don't.
No, but see, the thing is, Belfast's so close to home.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I go to Dublin, people recognise me there, but in Belfast, be like, oh, there's Sinead. Like, it wouldn't be like, do you know what I mean?
There's
Like,
Sinead.
or like, if they knew me, they'd be like, oh, there's Sinead. Like, it's
Yeah.
like kind of like a normal, like, we're local.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
if I went somewhere else, they might be like, Sinead, can I have a photo?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But here,
Where is like the weirdest place you've got asked for a photo?
at the top of a Buddha, in Thailand. Like, that was the
Seriously?
weirdest thing ever.
That's
And
mad.
someone was wearing my rings, and I was like, I'm in Thailand at the top of a Buddha. Like, there's about 5 people up here, and there's 2 people.
Yeah.
Asked for a photo. Very strange.
It's all
I think it's
proper,
worse, weirder when my dad gets asked for photos and
What?
stuff.
I seen you have put up a clip today
Smart.
with your dad.
He was on the podcast. We love a bit of dad.
It's
Like,
mad, like people recognising your family and all this, man. Though.
I know, but they're so involved though. I like to have them all involved.
Yeah.
Like, just
Who was
more
it
fun.
we were talking to this was ages ago? Was it India?
India.
Sasha.
Sasha.
She said like she'd looked out her window one day and there's people driving past her house and pointing in through the window.
Okay, no, don't get that.
Like coming
That's-
up to the
no.
door for photos and all.
That's strange. Like, to me, that's just
It's
nah.
a no for
No,
me.
the thing is, like, I'm like a meditation teacher now. It's like different. It's not like Molly May where she's like fashion and like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like
But yeah, sort of looking at like where you are now and where it all sort of started for you and sort of that journey. Where did it all sort of begin? Where you were doing your thing, and then we were talking before we started, you kind of did take a bit of a U-turn, and you say like a sort of bad relationship breakup type thing was where it all kind of started for you.
I think it all, like, obviously when Instagram first started, you know, I was kind of in early as well. Like, I didn't really know I was in early, but I was in early. So I was starting to get followers. I'd say not that much, but I was getting followers because I was doing fitness. Like, my partner at the time, like, he was into fitness. We were like, you know, when like Explore page was like popping, like, and there was like couple goals. We were like that couple goals people. Do you know what I mean? But like, I also was just chatting a lot my story, and at the time, obviously, I didn't know what I was building. Do you know what I mean? I was just chatting on my story, especially because I was, at the time, maybe a little bit lonely then, because I was living in London with him and I had no friends. So I was kind of just talking to my story and like building community and texting people. I was like loving life. So then I was doing like fitness, and I was kind of known to do that, and then did my PT and all that. And, you know, as the years went on, I just felt like this wasn't the road I wanted to go down, just because like had my own issues with my body. I felt like I was adding to the issues and was realizing that I didn't want to help people change their bodies. I wanted to help people feel better and be motivated, and I loved that. So it kind of went down that route. But like how it all started, like, I mean, if you're asking like how I got 200,000 followers, I'd say, first of all, like being really authentic. Like I was just always came on my story quite normal, and still feel like I'm the same person, you know, on there. Probably not as much, because there is so much cancel culture, so it's probably a bit less. Like I used to be way funnier, I think. I was like looking back at my stories the other day, and I was like, fuck, I said anything there. Like nobody gave a fuck. Oh, sorry. First 4 minutes. There you go.
We will be banned.
Oh god. So yeah, I did that, and had like, I mean, I probably got like 10,000 followers, but then it all kind of kicked off whenever, so I was going traveling with my partner, and you know, we were like in love with each other, like obsessed with each other, and the next thing I'm on this flight by myself. And I'm like,
people started putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, they were like, what's going on? And obviously he had cheated on me. I got a text literally like 2 weeks prior. So 2 weeks before the flight where we travel the world and move the whole way to Australia, like I'm hit with this bomb, and I'm like in shock. So I'm like angry. I was like, take me to the airport, and that was the last I seen of him. Do you know what I mean? Like, did
you just go to Australia on your own then?
Yeah, but like obviously it took a lot of, so I had a friend there first, and then he left because he ran out of money, and I was just in Thailand. So I was traveling by myself solo, and I was just documenting this on my stories, and also going through a breakup, which I was really honest about. I just came on my stories like bawling, crying in the middle of Singapore, and was like, guys, like everyone's asking me, but like we're broke up. And I really, really, no offense guys, but I hated men so much. I couldn't stand it. Like it was just like not a vibe. So I started this like thing called the Skint Diaries. So basically I couldn't say,
is this cunt?
Yeah, I couldn't say it on my Instagram because I was trying to be polite. So I was like, oh, I hate them all, they're such cunts. Like when you get dogged over by someone, you think loves you, and you're like, anyone who's nice is a cunt. Yeah. Like, and I used to like play on it and make it funny. And
do you know what women say, like, I hate all men? Like, yes. Do you fully believe that? Like, if a man comes up and try and talk to you, like, no.
At that point in my life, 100%. Like, he could have been Dave Beckham, and I'd have been like, get out of my face.
Because I feel like you hear it sometimes, and you're like, but they don't mean that, do they? But maybe they do.
Tommy's feelings get really hurt when he hears that.
But we go through the stage. Like, we have to go through a hate men stage and like protect our hearts for like a year, and then we can come back into the world. And that's like, exactly what I did.
So, like, when that breakup thing happened, like, how many followers did you have? Like, you know, the way you're saying, like, people are texting you and all, was like the relationship so public? Like, was there like loads of people knew about it? Like, or was it just like a normal sort of? It wasn't
like public or anything. I think like, you know, we were kind of based with each other, and I always had him on my stories. But I think the fact I was traveling by myself and I got cheated on, and I was just not had a clue. Not to mention I was so skint because it was meant to be for 2 people, you know, like all the rooms were meant to be shared. So I was so skint, and then I was like navigating traveling solo, heartbroken and broke all at the same time, and also being really honest with everything that I was going through, and making all these mad decisions and just like having the crack, like, really. And then when I went to Australia, you know, I even went there with like $1,000. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's mental. Like, how could I afford rent? And I could barely eat. It was so bad. But then when I went there, I just continued on the process and then went to the farm work and then made a sort of like a comedy show of the farm work basically, and started to be like real, because at that time it was like bloggers and they didn't have jobs, but yet they were all like in Dior and you know what I mean, so it was a bit different.
What was the plan before that? Like, obviously you have to go out to Australia, you have to do 3 months farming, is that right?
Yeah, you have to do 88 days. I did 15 weeks altogether.
So like whenever you had planned to go out with your boyfriend, what did you expect to do? Like after you got, like usually people go out, do the farm and then go on to something else. So
yeah, you go on to do your farm work and then you just go back to Sydney or wherever you're living. So I was living in Sydney, and then when you know that you're coming to that stage where you want your second year, then you have to go and do your farm work. Yeah. But it's an experience.
Can I double down on the sort of and sort of stop me if I'm going on around here, but you see, with regards to, you were saying obviously he cheated on you. Looking back on it now, you were sort of saying, you know, he was on your story. Do you feel like there was an element of that where you maybe, and you kind of got in this bubble where it was like you were showing things for Instagram, and you like maybe were a bit sort of, you didn't see maybe there was actual problems happening?
No, I felt like there was no problems. Like, now I look back at it, like I literally thought this was the love of my life. Like, and he was just young, like he was just stupid. Like he had sex with a girl in a toilet cubicle in Maglif. Like, it's not like
classy.
You know what I mean? It's really not like that deep about it. He's 22. His mates were all doing it. He just did it, and like I just found out about it. Do you know what I mean? And I was older than him as well, so I think he was just young, acting the lad, and then he paid for it himself. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I left. And he probably thought I was going to go back to him. You know what I mean? And I was like, so yeah.
It's just interesting to know, like, when you sort of took that turn where you're like, right, you're open and honest with people about the breakup and everything. If you ever kind of did look back and go, there was maybe issues there that you kind of overseen, because I feel like everybody, well, I feel like we're coming round now where a lot more people are authentic online, but like a lot of people are sort of interested in that whole sort of like relationships. And we were talking like Matthew McNabb, who was on Love Island, and it's a bit like sort of, is it fake? Is it, you know, is it an actual?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know. Like, even like the other week, I had an argument with Jack, and like I was like, I'm not going to go out today and like take photos with him and put it on my story when we're sitting in Dingle. And I put up my story being all, you know, that awkward moment when you're in the taxi after an argument, because I was like, we actually did have an argument, and I didn't want to portray it, but also then people started messaging being like, that's so inappropriate. So obviously people are not going to have, that's where you're like, oh, I don't know, what do people want? So I thought I would be real there and be like, I actually had an argument and it's a wee bit awkward here, and I'm going to put up nice photos and pretend that it was all right, because we're okay now, but earlier on we weren't. So I don't know, I think it's hard now because people have so much to say. So I think it is good to talk about problems. I talk about problems all the time on like the podcast. I think it's a more real place, because you don't get comments in your podcast, so you can just chat away, whilst if you're on your story, someone will just write back and be like, why did you do that to your boyfriend or something, you know? So but yeah, like, look, I just think I was unaware back those days whenever I was with him. Like, I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on until I learned, until I went through all the like the depressed stage and like the real bad anxiety, and then that's obviously what I came through to be where I am today. And I overcame that with like the tools that I learned through learning all the stuff. And then I felt like it was my duty to tell people that life after, like, you know, things like when you're younger, like no one tells you that you're gonna get fired from your job or you're gonna go through heartbreak. And what do you do whenever you're heartbroken, or what do you do when someone dies? Like, how do you grieve? Those things are never ever taught. And I was so shocked whenever I was like alone, heartbroken, and going through, like, I'm so broke, and I was like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I was going through real bad anxiety, like no sleep, and then like I learned
everything maybe kind of felt like it hit at once.
Is that like, when did like the meditation sort of side of things come in? Was that a big part of that? Like,
it was first like reading and studying and stuff, and I did a lot of study when I was in Australia, and I've been sort of studying ever since. But meditation kind of came into play when I would say about a year after this. Let me just double check. I just remember, look, I'm a big reader. I read so many books, and when you're looking at reading people's success stories every single day, like big entrepreneurs, like reading their autobiographies, like every single book they mentioned meditation, and every single book about anxiety, mindfulness, there was just meditation. So I decided to like give it a go. And at this stage in my life, like I had insomnia, like I could not sleep. But this was all backtrack of like the breakup and the being broke and being alone and like automatic negative thoughts like overtaking my brain every single day, like really negative thoughts. Like I'm sure some people will relate to that, like where I felt like I couldn't get out and then there was no sleep. So when I started to meditate and learn all these things, like I remember just doing it and hating it, like absolutely hating it, being like, get me out of here, like I don't want to be in my own head, and continued to go with it anyway. And the more I read about it, the more I was like, yes, I have to keep doing this because the benefits are unbelievable. Anyway, like fast forward, like I'm so in tune with my emotions, my awareness, like my sleep quality, like getting 8 hours of sleep every single night after a few months of meditating, like it was the best feeling in the entire world. I could see my thoughts as an observer, and I had so much transformation. Like there's just so many benefits, like even focus, like if you want to make a business or do anything, nobody can focus anymore because we're bombarded with content every single day. Like we can't even go on Safari and watch something load. We have to like close down Safari and go on Instagram and wait for something to load because our attention spans are so low. So if you actually have a passion and you're passionate about something, like nobody can sit down and do the work because they can't focus. So meditation teaches you how to focus every single morning. You do 15 minutes. You're aligned better, and that, like, do you know what I mean? And then I just loved it so much, and I just became so obsessed and did so much courses in it and I was like, everyone fucking needs to do this. So, but how does it happen? Because I feel like I know nothing about meditation, and I'm similar like to what you're saying. Like I listen to like the likes of the Diary of the CEO, and you hear all these like successful business people coming on being like, oh, I meditate every morning, I do mindfulness and all this here, but like what is it about meditation that does help you? Like, because I feel like I sort of have this cliche in my head of like it's just you sitting down and doing the whole breathing technique. So right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, you know, there's this myth that you have to sit down and clear your head. That's what it's about. But I would love to just get that person and like teach them how to meditate, because it's not how you meditate. It's really about just being in control of your own thoughts and knowing that you're like most of what you're thinking is conditioned pattern. So when you sit down to meditate, like let's just say you guys want to like build a business, or you want to ask like maybe like a really famous person on the podcast, like I bet you have a negative thought in your head saying like, oh, you're not good enough.
Right, all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So those things like rule our brains constantly. But when you sit down to meditate, you start to be in control of what comes in and what comes out. So if someone's telling you you're not good enough, you can just put that thought in like a little cloud. Like we do cloud techniques in meditation. So like in a little cloud and let it go away. And then, you know, the whole purpose of it is that you want to choose your thoughts. Like you choose your clothes in the morning, you choose what serves you. And there's so many different types of meditation. Like you've got meta meditation, which is literally love and kindness. Like you give love and kindness and compassion to fucking strangers. Like it's bizarre, but it's the most amazing feeling ever. And you've got breath meditation, visualization. I'm all about guided and visualization. That's kind of my niche, because I think our generation can't sit down and listen to their breath. Because
what do you mean?
We're addicted to distractions, so we need something to concentrate on, and you're not supposed to meditate on nothing. It has to be sort of moving and flowing.
Yeah. So is like the whole breathing thing is like concentrating on something then, really?
Yeah,
like
but you can concentrate on your breath as well. There's breath meditation. There's literally hundreds.
Yeah.
So I've noticed this, right? If I'm so kind of looking into it and stuff over the past while, it's always been something I've kind of, I'm not close-minded, and I was like, right, I'll give it a go. But I always find like if I proper focus on my like breathing, I always find like the other day I was in the sea and I was actually concentrating on like my breathing, but in my head I was like almost like thinking about staying afloat as well. And after like a couple of seconds I was like I thought of nothing there. Like I actually like, it was almost like I'd woke up. It's a really weird fit, because I understand if I was in a room, completely blacked out room, I would be like, and someone said, right, just focus on your breathing, I would be thinking about a million different things other than my breathing. Like, yeah. But like, do you think if someone's just like what you're saying is the visualization thing, where you're almost like tricking someone into, you know, thinking about all this stuff,
it's
basically
just to be one pointed. Like the point of meditation is to be one pointed, to move you away from your own monkey mind. And what you're talking about there, like if you sat down in a dark room, your mind would be everywhere. So that's monkey mind, which is like basically rapid thoughts, which can cause anxiety disorders, like if it's not dealt with. So if you're a person that has monkey mind, like your mind's going 20 miles per hour. And what most people do is they sit down in meditation and they're like, can't do it, mind's going crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas in fact, like that meditation has just brought awareness to the state of your mind. So that monkey mind is ruining your life. Like it's literally ruling you and taking you on this like constant surge of thoughts and anxiety thoughts, and you're not able to stop your anxious thoughts and go, hey, hold on a minute, why am I calling myself like a piece of shit over and over and over again? So when you sit down to meditate, you begin with monkey mind, like thought. All right.
Yeah.
And then every single time that, for example, if it's guided, like, and you hear my voice in my meditations, like I'll be like, okay, your job is to come back to my voice every time you drift off in thought. So you drift off in thought, and it could be for the first meditation, you may not even hear a word I say because your monkey mind is completely in control. But say if there's one time in a 10-minute meditation and you're like, oh, okay, no, I was thinking about so many things. Oh, come back to Sinead's voice, come back to the breath. 1 rep. All right. You've just trained your mind 1 rep. You'll come back tomorrow and you'll be able to do it twice. You'll be able to do it 3 times. And it'll first be like thought. And then it'll be like thought. And then it'll be like thought. And then your mind just becomes a more peaceful place to be, and you can control so many things. It's literally like a fucking superpower, and it's so powerful for being like your best self. So that's the thing, like people sit down and have monkey mind, and you know, we all have monkey mind, especially in this generation because phones and all that jazz.
We've talked about this so much.
Yeah.
Like just everything that you feel like
it's an addiction.
It is an addiction.
It's mad.
But I think
Would you not
the
do
way-
a digital detox?
I would love.
I
I
think that's the way we always go for it. It's always just cancelling it out. It's not like learning how to.
Yeah, ignoring the issue.
Like,
No, if you do an actual
ignoring it.
digital detox, like there's a good book called How to Break Up Your Phone.
Say not do
so
that on your website.
This
Yeah.
is one thing I actually was going to say. It's one thing I observed whenever you came in and them two went across the road to get tea. You didn't go on your phone.
But sure, I'm chatting to you.
Yeah, I know. But the amount
We're all
of
sitting
people,
on
not to point fingers or name names, the amount of people we've had in this studio who have like, you're maybe having a chat with, or I'm like fiddling about with the camera and you look over and they're kind of like, yep, on their phone.
Do you know what that's called?
What?
Fubbing.
Yeah.
Because so this is the whole point. If
Do you know what that's
right,
called?
if you put a
Being
name, if you put a name to something, it brings awareness. So fubbing is the act of being on your phone when you're having a conversation with someone. It is so rude, but we're so used to it in our society. It doesn't even. So if you actually put a name to it and you watch someone, you're like fubbing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Wow.
it's so fucking rude. But yeah, we are so used to it. I do it with my friends as
Yeah.
well, and but that's the thing they learn in the book. And then you have to go through your digital detox. I do it once a month. I do like 2 days with
and
no
what
phone.
is a digital detox? On?
No phone.
Just that's it. Huh?
Yeah.
And how
Well,
do
to be
you-
fair, what I do is I delete all my apps.
Yeah.
So someone can still call me, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'll still have WhatsApp depending on work. But highly recommend it, because you know how many times you pick up your phone.
Yeah.
Say if you do 2 days without picking up your phone, it's so funny, because even if you have your phone there and you don't pick it up, or nothing's on it,
Yeah.
your habit is picking it up, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, there's not even any apps on this. What the fuck am I doing? And then you're like, you slowly get out of the habit, and then when you come back to the real world with your phone again,
Yeah.
you just pick it up less, and then I know when I'm need a digital detox again,
Yeah.
because I'm picking it up. So I need one right now, basically.
Have you got an iPhone?
Yeah.
What's your weekly? You know the way it comes up at the end
Oh,
of
it's
every week.
probably like 9 hours. So
The whole
A day.
week.
oh, the whole week.
Like what
Like
daily?
your
Like how
average
often does it
daily?
say you're on your phone?
Oh, I don't know, probably like 8 hours.
A day.
Oh, that's mental.
I don't know, like what? How long?
Well, I think I think mine's like.
I think mine's 6 or
something.
7,
Mine's
and I
about
think
6 or
that's
7.
fine.
I think that is terrible. Like,
But then I suppose like
But you have to realize. Wait, hold on. Do you have a 9 to 5 job?
yeah.
Yeah, but you're not allowed on your phone in your job.
Well, no, but
The
you do
dust
I have to
still-
be on my phone.
Yeah, that's what I was
Oh,
going to
fair
Do you know
say.
what I mean?
enough,
And
yeah.
also, like, no one's telling me not to be on my phone.
Yeah.
Whereas when I worked, it was like,
Yeah, your
2 or
phone is
3
your work.
hours.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So I'd say mine is probably okay. It's 5 hours 57.
It's
So
not bad. I bet you mine's worse. Like.
I don't have mine turned
How do you get
on
onto it?
because I don't want to address the truth.
let's not go
Yeah.
there. No, but it's important to do it. Like I think
Yeah.
like we have to realize that phones are in our lives and like navigate it.
Maybe subconsciously we didn't message you to come on the podcast sooner because we didn't want to address our own issues.
Well, I'm the same. Like I'm sitting here with like 6 hours as well,
Yeah.
so we're all in this
we were like,
together.
lads, she's got to come on here and truth bomb us, so that was not going to be good. Like, but it'd be interesting to know, like, from a if someone's listening to this and is kind of like, I know it's been something that's interested me, but like if someone's listening to this and is trying to sort of get into the whole, maybe taking a step back from like busy day-to-day life, you're working like a 9 to 5 and all that there, where is sort of the best place to start from on that sort of journey for like meditation and stuff?
Well, to be honest, like I have my own courses as well. Like, so I have a company called The Brave Way, which is like a 21-day meditation course. And the only reason I made that is because all day I'm talking about the benefits of meditation, and there's no structured courses. Like there's no courses that are actually interesting. Like every single day we work on a different meditation. Some people don't really like having the same thing every day, so I give them a totally different meditation for 21 days, and then after the 21 days then they're in the habit, and like most people just do the 21 over and over again. But so like I have a course and it does like the basic teachings, like it's only like a few modules at the beginning, and then you get a meditation every single day. So they start off with like 9-minute meditations, and then we move up to like 15 minutes is the biggest, and we work on different things, because with visualization and like manifestation and stuff like that, like you can visualize and manifest and like have all these goals all you want, but like unless you believe you deserve it, like you're not going anywhere. So if I say to you, say you want to be like, you want 10 million pounds, and I say like, do you deserve that? Do you feel like you deserve that? And usually it comes down it's true though, you think that you think you deserve it, but all the things we've learned through our childhood, like have you ever, when you're younger, did anyone like snob about people that were rich? You know what I mean? Like, who does she think she is, driving around your big Range? Do you know what I mean? Those things really like affect you, and like how you go forward of like being successful. Because I used to be like, oh, like I want these things, but also I don't want to be a snob, or I don't want, but like you can do it in your own way. So like first of all, I do finding yourself. So basically getting you deep into your subconscious to know and ask the right questions of who you truly are. Like, for example, we have a really good meditation called Follow and Joy. And it is literally just finding out where you actually have joy. So if I say to you, in the last few years, where's your joy in your job? So you can sit down.
This is getting deep.
But then you say in your relationship. This anymore. We're in deep, guys. And then with your relationships, and I say, what is the moments that brought you so much joy in your relationships and your family life and your hobbies? And then you're in meditation, you're already deep, and then it just takes you back to all these memories. So let's just say these things that bring you joy. Let's just say a gym, and like going to the gym and doing goals and doing a marathon, all these moments of joy come back flooding to you. And then then it's easier to say no than to go drinking all weekend, because it brings you joy. And if you look at your work life and you're like, oh, there's no joy, or if you look at certain things, like for me, I would look at charity work. I'm like, that brings me so much joy to be able to do that with my company. And I'll be like, okay, how do I get this sorted? So like even simple meditations like that about follow and joy can find out who you truly are. And then when you find out who you are, then you do like a bit of visualization of like what you want in the future. And then the last bit of the meditation course is all about like actually self-belief and doing like inner child work. But we won't go there.
Inner child.
Yeah.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
You seem the most scared.
So it is like a course. It's called The Brave Way. I'll sign you up, and you can do it together. And then you three boys can come on my podcast and tell me how you got on.
That's what actually interesting.
Is it about being childish?
No.
The three of us just crying on their podcast.
Inner child work is like whenever you look at your inner child and be like, for example, when was the first time you ever felt like shit? Or ever felt like not good enough? And you go back to that moment and you kind of like reparent, and you're like, you know what? You're actually sound. You know what I mean? Like you actually go back into that moment and be like, like for example, teachers. How much like they give you so much shit, or you make you feel like shit, and that's like led your behavior like throughout your whole life. Like, I can't go for that because my teacher told me I'm not going to amount to anything. And then like when you're in inner child work, you'll like look back at that moment and be like, that was just an actual random person with a random, like she doesn't even know who I am.
It's about finding that moment sort of thing.
Yeah, and you look at it and it helps you move forward of like believing in yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Have you got any moments?
Come on, Ross.
Go on.
No, like, I don't
Let's do
know.
some.
I
Let's
can't.
see.
Please, no, please.
Do you not have any like teachers or like maybe you got bullied in school?
I start crying.
You did.
Don't honestly, like, I can remember like when I was like in primary school, like we sort of things happening, because I wasn't the most like intelligent, let's put it this way. Like, some things came naturally, some things didn't come naturally. And then I think when the secondary school I went to was quite a smart, like, it was quite a smart school, and I was quite on that lower end where I just get in. So I suppose there's been like, I mean, I could probably write a book, but yeah.
But that is probably driving your behavior, because how do you feel about being smart now? You probably always think that when you're going for something that you're not smart enough because a random school made you feel like that. Bearing in mind the school system doesn't suit everybody, doesn't suit me. You know what I mean? Like, I went to school and didn't do very well. Like, I did okay, but like, school made me feel like I wasn't smart. But I've got 4 businesses now. You know what I mean?
Mad.
So it's not actually to do with,
I think the whole idea about the whole manifestation thing sort of confuses me slightly. I'm not gonna lie, like, this whole sort of idea that, you know, I was listening to a story, and this girl used to go to school with me, and she's now working for this company, and someone had asked her, how did you get into that particular company? And she was like, I just imagined it. She's like, I woke up every day and I just imagined it. But then I was a bit like, right, okay,
That's
but
a
how
very-
did you actually get in? And then afterwards she was like, I just started coming along to these events and getting in front of people, and I was like, right, okay, that makes sense. But like, I feel like sometimes people push it where it's like, oh, you can do anything if you just think about it. Like, do you know what I mean?
And that's toxic positivity as well. So there's an element of like the spiritualness. Thing is, I've always been quite spiritual, but I'm also very science-based, and all my training has been science-based. And anytime I do any sort of training that's spiritual, like, you better know that I'm up there questioning every single thing that they're trying to teach me. And that's why I've ended up being more like science-based on like meditation and stuff. And when it comes to manifesting, yes, it can be toxic positivity, because how horrible is it when you feel like shit when someone tells you just imagine feels good? Like, it's not a very nice place to be. But manifesting things, people think manifesting is magic. Manifesting is not magic. Manifesting is about, like, you visualize and you start to believe that you can be this person, and then your emotions tells you where to go with that. If I wanted to start a business and I manifested this business, and you have to then align with the person that owns that business. So then you look at that, and if you imagine it in your head, right? So if you look at the science of imagining stuff in your head, you actually can make yourself believe it, and then your emotions can guide you. So if you are not working towards this business after you've manifested it, you feel a wee bit guilty. You feel like shit. So your emotions are like, hey, you've got a wee bit, this is giving you anxiety, like, keep pushing. So manifesting is more, you do think about it, you believe in it, and then you take action. And I don't think that you just can imagine it, because I think you have to do like shadow work, and you have to do like the deep work of thinking you deserve it as well, because you can manifest and visualize everything you want, but if you don't actually believe that you deserve it, or you don't believe you're good enough to get it, and you don't put in the action, it's not going to happen. So that's another thing. Like, that's sometimes manifesting can be like a dirty word, I suppose, in my line of work as well. But
I think I do sort of subconsciously manifest things at times. Like, I do believe, like, think of things that I want to, like, points that I want to get to and stuff. But I feel like my problem is the stuff like sort of in between, like how I get there. So like, how do you think like I should deal with something like that?
I would say that you need to write down clear goals, and then when you have a clear goal, then you could write down bits and bobs of each day. You know what I mean? It's daily tasks. You know, when you start a podcast, you're like, I want to start a podcast. You get one microphone one day, the next day you get this bit, the next bit you learn how to add it, and it's little bits like that, and it's putting in the work and the effort and actually getting time to focus, because nobody can focus anymore, and that is the problem with most people.
And then would you say the meditation sort of leads into that then?
Oh, 100%. But then the thing about meditation as well is that you actually come into yourself. And people say, what do you mean find yourself? So if you're taking away everyone else's thoughts of you and your conditioned patterns of your teacher, think of all the things your teachers, your friends, your family have said to you and made you believe all your entire life, like that being rich is like they're going to be a snob, that if you don't get a 9-to-5 job in an office, you're a failure. All these things are like conditioned in your brain, constantly ruling your behavior no matter what you do. Like if you're not in a 9 to 5 not working, you're probably feeling like shit because somebody told you that it makes you feel like shit. So if you sit down and meditate, and like the way I'm telling you how to meditate is like, okay, there's a thought, just put it over there, let's go back to the breath. There's a thought, put it over there, go back to the breath. And you'll start to realize that when all these thoughts of everyone else's thoughts of you go away, in those moments, like your true self just comes in. Like you literally have these moments of like silence, and you'll be meditating that day, but you'll be walking down the street one day and you'll be like, amazing idea. Like your true personality comes out as well, and you get this emotional awareness of like what's going on and how to do things. Yeah. So yeah, you can really find yourself in meditation as well, because you're getting rid of everyone else's shite.
So interesting. I feel like I could talk about this all day.
I'd say I'm quite self-critical though.
What do you mean?
Like I criticize myself a lot more than other people criticize me.
Yeah, I know. So you need to deal with that too. But where does that come from?
I don't know.
Let's just say you criticize your body in the gym, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I want...
definitely doesn't do that. He definitely doesn't.
I probably should do, but I don't.
But let's just say he does that.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? It comes from the fitness industry over the years telling us that we need to be ripped.
Yeah.
Whenever we don't need to be ripped to feel good. Like if you feel good, you feel good. But unless we have a 6-pack and a big booty, like that's giving me negative chatter. Yeah. Because of what my expectations are of someone who looks good. Mm-hmm. So we have to fix those things as well. And other people, how they talk around you. So an example is like my mom, all her aunties, every woman in my ever life has always criticized their body. Mm-hmm. So if I'm 10 years old and I'm listening to my mom and aunties talking about how fat they are when they're actually fucking fabulous, and they're talking about other people putting on weight, I internalize that as putting on weight's bad. Yeah. So you think these things are you, but in fact, when you have the emotional awareness, you're like, whoa, all this shit has come from somewhere and it's not me.
It's just about finding, I suppose.
And when you find it, you're like, that was just random, and fuck that. Like your teachers, you're like, that's a random person. Sure. Like my teacher told me I wasn't going to amount into anything. I could never do any homework. Like I have a yellow personality. Don't know if you know about personality types, but like I'm eccentric, I do creative bursts. And do stuff like that. So school was I never like looked good to the teacher because I could never have my homework on time. I've got no concept of time. I try to be on time, doesn't really work. And then whenever you're in school, like that didn't work for me. So I can't remember now what I'm talking about because like he's moving. I'm like, but basically like those things make you feel like shit. Like, and basically they don't know who you are, and they don't know that I'm going to go through a breakup, and it's going to make me feel really depressed and anxious, and then I'm going to find the tools, and that's going to make me passionate to share it with other people. They don't know that, so they don't know how good I'm going to be at business. And you start to abolish all these things that people think about you, and it makes you feel better.
Yeah. You said there about personality types. You're yellowish.
Yes.
On first impression, what would you think we are?
Greens.
Why was that?
I don't know though, because I'd say you're a wee bit of yellow. You've got a wee bit of creativity because you like have the cameras and photography.
Right. Well, what's a green?
Green is chill.
Chill.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Green is like wants to do well for everyone else. Like, you know, doesn't really think about them, but like whatever you want, that's grand. That's grand. Very chill.
That is.
Who's green? Sorry about that.
Me and you.
Yous are so green. It's unbelievable.
You have to read the drink. It's called Surrounded by Idiots.
I think I'm chill, but you're on a different level.
I am very laid back.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere laid back, you'd be flat. Like
both of them are so chill.
I think you come across as more chill though.
I don't know. People just say that's because of like the way I look. Like. People always assume I'm stoned and all. Like people will comment on their podcast being like, "Those boys are stoned," and we're like, "Nah."
Is it green because of weed? Like,
yeah.
There you go.
Stoners. That's what it is.
See, them two are so chill to the point where sometimes it actually infuriates me. But then you know what I hate? See, whenever you go to me, you're so uptight. I'm like.
Are you always on time and organised?
Oh my god,
yeah. Blue, then.
He organises everything.
My life is
almost psychopathic, like.
But like, let's just say those guys are late. Does that really annoy you? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think you've come round.
Why? If he was late, you wouldn't care.
I'd be annoyed. Like.
No.
Would you be annoyed?
Right. So here's the thing, right?
Like,
and you can play the therapist here, right? If I'm late, he'll be annoyed, right? And if he's late and I give off, like, you'll give off to me and I'll be like, all right, it's fair enough. See if he walks in late. Like, there was a day where you were late and I rung you and I was like, where are you? And you were like, I'll be down in a second. And you come in and it was all my fault. I was like, well, you could have messaged in the group chat and said. And I was like, take responsibility for your actions. You know what I mean? Like, it infuriates me.
Would you say to him, like,
yeah, I've got far better at it. Like,
boundaries and all that?
Boundaries.
Like, yeah. We've got to the stage now where them it's just broken
I don't
down.
know whether he's got better at it or he's just accepted it. You know, it's like, these guys, this is just the way they are.
But there are days where I'm a lot better. There are
Yeah.
days where I'll walk in here and nothing will really faze me, you know. Like that day I walked in and you forgot pretty much everything, and I knew it was bad because like he was like, "What are we gonna do here?" And I was like, "Give me a wee second, I'll think about it," and how to sort it with him.
yeah, I'm like,
10 minutes.
I'm a solution based thinker, so
Yeah.
I like, you know, if I just like, if anything happens, like, you know, my mum's always like, don't be leaving your laptop and don't be leaving your car open. I'm like, oh, sure, somebody does it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
It's like
see.
you're the
No.
opposite, no?
No, I'm the opposite. Everything. Yeah.
And if I like miss a flight, I'm like, sure, if I miss, my mum's like, oh no, my god, like panicking. I'm like, yeah, but if you miss your flight, you just get another one.
No. That wouldn't be me.
money,
That wouldn't be me. Like.
Money, like?
No
Well,
chance.
I know that as well. Like, that is true. Like, what if
Yeah.
you're really, but I know that because when I was really skint, I didn't miss a flight.
Yeah.
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 I suppose there's your.
Yeah.
Living the highlights.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd be laid back about everything, but flights are a different story. Like, you have to be.
That's
on top of
something
them,
I
like.
don't understand. Is like, you hear ones even going on like lads' holidays or girls' holidays. They're like, oh, they missed their flight and had to stay for 2 days, and I'm just like, you don't just miss a flight. Like,
Yeah, but you miss your flight on purpose when you're away. You don't miss your flight to Spain.
yeah,
Or to a hot country.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
It's
a fair
funny
point.
though because like 95% of the time I'm on like go. Like I genuinely believe like I'll never be like fully content because I love, like, I see whenever people say like, oh, I want to get to here, whenever I get to places I always look back and like, nah, like I miss like the getting to here point, like the actual, like the in betweens, like the go.
What
So,
about,
like, see,
do you think
whenever
it's productivity anxiety?
It's probably just a lot of
I think you
anxiety.
know all these terms and words like what?
Yeah, I like, I'm the type of person where if you're planning something, I'll have about 30 different scenarios played out in my head as to how it could go wrong, just to make sure it goes smoothly. Like,
You're basically
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
I think you would have a
Yeah.
field day if you get inside my mind. Like, I think you'd be like, like I'd be shelving thoughts every 0.2 seconds. Like, you'd be like, no, Ross, come back to my voice. I'd be like, no, Sinead, it's not happening. Sinead, I'm gone. Like, you know what I mean? It's a whirlwind up there.
And I
leave
think
him
as
for
well,
that?
like social media. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Can we leave him with you for a day?
See, I think I'm a very chilled person, and he's opposite, so we might like be the.
Could clash.
Yeah, we could clash.
You never know.
Yeah.
Could make good content. Like, I could come back here and just be on like,
As long as you
just
organise it.
just so zen.
But like half an hour, but like
Thomas,
please
like,
come
the
get
whole-
in.
Our TikTok got deleted. I'll be like, it's chill, man. Just make another one.
We're sort of talking about relationships, I suppose, but like you've got your own ebook, relationships. You should know these things. What are the things people should know
Oh,
about
okay.
like building successful relationships?
So it all kind of happened. Like, that book actually came out. It's so random because I was in lockdown and I was listening to like anonymous people on the radio talking about their relationships being in lockdown, and they were like,
Yeah.
I'm going to leave my husband, my sister's such a bitch, and I was just like, oh my god, this is such a good opportunity to like make your relationships better and deeper. And like, I'd done a lot of study in relationships. I'm a relationship coach as well. I just was like, I may as well just put it on paper. So I just like wrote a book on like all my experiences in relationships and how all the things that you should know. But it depends, especially, I think the best thing that you need to know is your attachment type.
What's that mean?
Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
What you're attracted to.
Tom was like, no,
No,
best
so-
fit for me.
Basically, like, what your attachment type is, it's usually based on like your childhood or whatever. So first of all, you have a secure attachment. So a secure person is someone who, you know, doesn't worry that their partner is going to go out. You know what I mean? They don't worry they're going to cheat. They don't worry they're going to leave them. They're very secure. Like, there's no real toxic behavior there at all. And they believe what their partner says. Then you have an anxious type, which is someone who will really worry if their partner goes out. They do things like protest behavior. They'll ring them 20 million times. They'll, you know, let's just say they have a fallout, because they can't have the control of knowing what's going on. They will maybe do silent treatment. They will maybe flirt with someone on purpose. Like, it's all protest behavior to get reaction because they're out of control and they need to know that you're in control. So that's like an attachment type, and that usually that's anxious. So anxious usually comes from your childhood, maybe having back and forth, or maybe having like a colder parent, like not really getting that much attention, and knowing that like if you cry and you scream, you're gonna get love and attention. So a lot of people, like, let's just say a parent's like really hot, like heated up, and they leave, like that's the point where the child needs. So if they scream, the parent comes back. So that's how they kind of learn that attachment type. And then you've got avoidant. I'm personally an avoidant attachment type. So avoidant is your typical commitment issues. So they will do things like, let's just say you're in a relationship with someone and that person's like, you know, I like this. They're like, well, if you like this, I'm out the door. Like, they use every excuse to sort of leave. They don't want to get close to anyone. And they use things like, say you're going out with someone and they're great and all, but like in your head, you're like, I don't really like the way they dress. I don't really like the way they're going on. Maybe I should just leave it. And they're constantly kind of having this relationship anxiety, because they actually just do not want to get close to anyone because their brain is trying to protect them because something happened when they were younger. And usually is like a parent leaving or a parent coming and going, like withdrawing love and attention. So they'd be like, they got so hurt at one point, they're like, you know what, I'm never going to get close to anyone. So they emotionally keep everyone away. They keep everyone at arm's length. So if you know which one your partner is, you can navigate. So for example, because I would be like a bit of both of avoidant and anxious, let's just say I go out on a night out and my partner's a secure partner. Now he goes out, or he doesn't care. I go out for 2 days. He doesn't care.
Would that bother you, like?
No, but he's very secure, so he knows I'm not going to get with anyone. He's not going to be annoyed at me, right? He's not afraid of me leaving him because he's so secure in himself. Whilst if he goes out, because I'm an anxious attachment, I have my own issues from maybe like past, like say you got cheated on, you can become anxious through things like that. If you get cheated on, or you just feel like someone could possibly leave, if my secure partner goes out and he goes out for 2 days and doesn't text me, like that is going to really bother me and it's going to really trigger me. So if I tell him, just to let you know, I'm actually quite an anxious attachment type, can you please text me when you're home? Whilst he wouldn't care if I don't text. So then sometimes there's that clash of the relationship of like, oh, I don't care if you don't text me, like what the fuck's wrong? But like, no, that person's been through something different and they just need a little bit more reassurance. And if that partner then reassures, then that other partner becomes more secure in the relationship, rather than calling, like the word psycho is thrown around all the time in relationships. And I always I have a chapter in the book called Abolish the Psycho, because calling someone a psycho just because of like, say they would need a text or they need something there, they need help, they need reassurance. You need to communicate with that person and be like, hey, why are you acting like this and how can I help you? Because that person could have been abandoned as a kid, like their mom and dad could have broke up, had a divorce, and they're just scared. All there is they're just scared and insecure, and your partner needs to come in and be like, you know what, just to let you know, I'm not going to leave you, and this is like me coming home at this time. And then after time, they start to really trust and become secure. So it's knowing that there's like all these different attachment types, and you can work together if you know what you are and what your partner is. Like an avoidant, I'm an avoidant myself, so I know that like I can run really quick out of relationship, or if I'm first going out with someone, whatever, if they did anything, I'm like, bye, like fuck you, because I don't want to get hurt, you know. But if I tell them, hey, just let you know, and I'm aware that that's one of my things, I know that one of the things I need to do is I need to lean into it a little bit and be like, no, I have to be vulnerable because I've got commitment issues and I need to like be vulnerable, because being vulnerable and being in love is like the best feeling in the world. So you do need to lean in, and then I can tell him.
Would you say there's certain types that work better with others?
Yeah, secure is the best one. I'm so jealous if anyone's secure. What do you think you are out of that?
I think I'm definitely secure, like. Because I don't give a fuck if my girlfriend goes out.
So
have you got a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've never been like, oh, like, I'm like,
I'd be
and
sort of like that,
she's the same, like, because it's like, I feel like if you're like, if she was like going out and I was like getting fucked off, like if she was, it's like I can't go out and like she doesn't get annoyed about it, and then me get annoyed about her going out, and like vice versa.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like that would be like.
In saying that though, like you're not completely, like in emotionless pit,
no,
because
but
like,
like,
the other night whenever Brona rung and said, "Yo, I'm on my own," I've
I know,
never
but that's-
seen you be more like, "What?"
That's a complete different situation, like.
You know what I mean?
No, that's being secure.
But
He's
like-
like, what do you need from me? I'm
Yeah.
Because
going
it's
to
like
you.
that was like her friend's basically ditched her, and she was on her own. So like, I'm like, what the
Sorry,
fuck?
that was
like?
maybe me digging you out of the
But
hole.
it's like I wouldn't be going out. I wouldn't be worried about her going out and going on all by like.
Yeah.
But if she did, that would be it. Like. Because I feel like everyone gets so worried about, what if this happens?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if it happens, it's not meant to be. Like,
Yeah.
Can't
because it's
control.
just like,
I think one thing I sort of related to was that if Aoife did go out, my girlfriend, that I wouldn't be like bothered, like, and like she could go out, whatever, but like I wouldn't expect a text whenever she was home, where she'd be like,
You need
not
her.
that she doesn't want me to go out, but she'd always be looking like a text whenever I
Yeah.
get home. Like
But
sort
that
of,
she just needs a little bit more reassurance.
yeah,
But it's and like it's just because you don't want it, you think it's weird that she wants it.
yeah,
Whereas if you realise that like stuff that she may have been through in her past relationships made her feel like a
Yeah.
wee bit scared to lose you. So it's only just a wee bit of insecurity, and it can be treated with like the awareness.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's gonna listen to this and she's gonna kill me for saying that.
Aoife, unreal. Get him to read my book and then we'll see.
I wanted to sort of get your opinion on like what relationships now with like social media, because
Oh
I feel
God.
like the way things are now, and like I feel like people almost think like there's always something better out there, because there's like
Yeah.
so much shit on social media, and like people are on their phones, and there's all like influencers and stuff, and it's like we've all been in relationships for like what 6-7 years. You're obviously
Yeah.
the longest,
Oh, look.
so we haven't really
You should be giving me
experienced
advice.
it. But like, do you feel like people struggle with social
I
media and
think
stuff?
because it's so easy to access other people, and like if someone likes your photo, like you're basically getting a validation.
Yeah.
And I do think people are a lot more tempted. I think a lot of people now, like there's people that just have multiple partners, like there's no monogamy now because we have multiple boyfriends, not at the one time, but like constantly. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely think there is a big issue going on, but I don't know, because I think like people don't realize the value in a committed relationship and the growth that you get within that. And say if something's like a bit shitty, like sometimes people can just run because there's so many other options.
Yeah,
Whilst I think back in the old days they just worked it out, but then there's also the fact of like back in the old days people were with each other and they hated each other.
Yeah.
So where's the middle ground?
people
That's a
get
good point,
shunned
huh?
for like breaking up back then, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, or divorced, or whatever.
Especially when like someone gets married, like that's it.
Yeah,
Do you know, like, whereas I don't feel like it's like that anymore.
divorce is a lot more
Or it's
common
not
now.
as much.
Yeah.
Especially because of like religious reasons and stuff. I feel like people
Mhm.
would get married and like even if they were unhappy, it's just like that's the commitment to the end. Like.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Even the social aspect of it too, like social media, like you're
Yeah.
always seeing like other couples and stuff, and you're thinking, should I be like that, or do you think that's something that has to play in it?
Yeah, because we were just chatting about this. You know, you said productivity anxiety. Like, people have productivity anxiety because all that people are showing is them doing things. So we think we should be climbing mountains, doing sunsets, going to fucking yoga, meditation classes constantly. But like nobody puts up when they're lying on the sofa all day.
Yeah,
So it's like, it's the same as a relationship. They just put up their highlight reel, and it makes us feel like if a guy is like taking a girl out for a picnic, you're like nudging your boyfriend like,
yeah.
where's my fucking picnic? Do you get that?
No,
no,
never.
But it's so true. Do you know what I mean? And like even in my relationship as well, like Jack did like loads of nice stuff in the past, and people are like, oh my god, that's amazing. But there's so many things that like he's not very good at. But like people think that like because he's done those things that he's like the perfect boyfriend. But there's just so many different ways to look at it. But I just think people need to realize that like people don't show their fights, and when they do, they'll be like me, and people are like, you need to stop showing your fights. Do you know what I mean? I wish people were more real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's why somebody says to me the last day that that's why I love Be Real. Everyone is literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
be real's a bit
Boring.
fake too, though.
Do you
can
think?
fake a be real, like.
I never
You're
have
like,
decided to
post it
never
late.
fake mine now.
No,
Well,
so-
not really, but I only post it late if I actually do miss the notification.
So would you never think in your head, oh, I'm
I'll
going
leave it till
somewhere at
later.
6 o'clock, this would be a good be real? If it's like, if the ping's at like 5, I'll wait an hour, this would be a
No,
good photo
I
for the
did
be real.
used to think that until that girl said that to me when we were having a conversation about productivity anxiety. She was like, that's
Yeah.
why I love Be Real, because you actually don't feel bad for your lifestyle. Because like if people are literally lying about and at work, and I was like, oh. And then sometimes some things are exciting, so it's like, oh.
Sort of moving away like from the relationship aspect, like you obviously have studied like psychology and you're kind of in tune, and I think what Shay sort of alluded to earlier on was quite an interesting one to maybe like sort of look at finishing on, was this sort of idea of like, do you find yourself observing people
All day, every day, every
So, like-
character, every
Right.
TV show, everything. I love that.
So like what would be like the one thing, like if you're walking in and from the time you spent with us, like I want to know like what have
No,
you
but hold
observed?
on a minute. I
Yeah.
haven't questioned you properly yet.
Okay, that won't happen.
Ross isn't letting anything away here.
No, but I think you guys are doing really well, because I think anyone that's doing anything different outside of, you know, especially like we're all from the same area, like we're
Yeah.
all from Northern Ireland here, and we do know that when we do something different, that we
Yeah.
get a lot of abuse. So I think you do have a lot of courage, and you are kind of, well, you're laid back by the sounds of it anyway, and you are like okay with abuse coming in and stuff like that, because we were just talking about like trolls and shit and stuff like that. But so I think you are quite strong-minded.
Nice.
I think you know what you want, and you are enjoy. You know what? You know what you enjoy, and you are obviously
Yeah.
enjoying this.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah. This has been a really good conversation, I think. Though.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting.
It actually is. I
could talk about
I'm
this.
gonna be honest. Like I at the start, like before we met you and stuff, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be interested in this.
It's exactly like,
really am.
it's exactly what I said at the start. Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, we knew exactly who you were. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but whenever Alicia said, I was like, I don't know. I know her, but I don't know anything about what she does.
Yeah.
And my fear is getting people on and like you kind of look like a bit of a. But then I was like, you know what? This is the whole purpose of this podcast, is to get
Yeah.
people on, learn about people's personalities, and learn about the stuff they do, because we don't know everything. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think that's something that we talked about, and it's weird. The timing of everything is really weird whenever you had popped up to us, because I remember I was like, we've been talking about this. It's kind of been like something we've never been like really in depth about it, but like it's been a conversation that we've been talking about, and it's kind of crept its way into sort of sub conversations that we've had where we're talking about like this whole thing. It's like, what do people do when they say like manifestation and all this here? And like we've been talking about the whole like phone thing more,
Yeah.
you know, leaving down your phone and all that there. And I think it's like this sort of overarching thing of like we're all sort of talking about like how can we kind of be better, if that makes sense. Like how can we kind of motivate ourselves and give ourselves like a kick up the ass, because you get into a routine like of every day.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel at the moment?
Like what, in terms of what?
Just like, how are you feeling about life?
I'm content.
All right.
I'm pretty content.
What about
like.
you?
Happy enough.
Happy enough?
I'm terrible.
Anything you want to work on? Any goals that you have that you're?
The one thing I wanted to ask is like, you were sort of talking about jobs and stuff, and I'm like the thing we've been talking about is like people not knowing what they want to do, and I feel like I'm sort of at that stage.
What do you enjoy?
Where do I start? Like, I don't know. Like that's what I mean. It's
That's
like,
the problem with people. They don't know what they enjoy, and this is why sometimes sitting down and doing these things.
why are you
I'm not
looking
gonna
at me
say
like
it.
that?
I'm
Say
not
it.
gonna say it.
Go. Well,
That's just something rude. I'm not gonna say it. What do you enjoy, Tommy?
I don't know. There's so much. Like, but like it's like things like I like enjoy watching football, I enjoy playing
Yeah.
PlayStation, I enjoy like what like. Do you know I enjoy doing this? But like, I do not like my job, but it's just like sometimes you're like, is this all there is? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always say, do it for free until you get a fee. That's like my favorite saying, because if you start to question what you like and what you don't like, for example, like actually question every single day in a journal. I know boys don't really journal, but like if you wanted to, you could say, what did I enjoy today and what did I not enjoy today? Because sometimes you do things that make you feel like shit and you don't have any awareness around it.
And what happens if you're like, I didn't enjoy anything?
Well, then you have to find out what you enjoy.
Yeah.
It's such a journey.
And that's it. That's the journey. Then
Yeah.
you have to do like peak experiences, and you have to go and try everything
Yeah.
until you find it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I did so many jobs until like I did meditation teacher, and when I was doing meditation, I was doing them for free. I was actually doing them for charity for the homeless, like going in and doing women's circles all like everywhere, like Strabane. I was doing them in Dublin. I was doing them. I've only started doing them here now, but then I was doing them in just everywhere. So I was doing them for free. Basically, I was like giving the money away. So I did it for free until I got a fee. Like I got it for free until I started getting feedback from everyone and was like, oh my God, Sinead, they're like, Sinead, did you write that? It was so good. And I'm like, oh my God, do you like it? And getting all this feedback, and I just kept doing it and started to have the self-belief from people's feedback. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what, like I'm going to make a course and I'm going to make this like a real life thing. Like I really enjoy it. Like see, when I'm meditating or like teaching people how to meditate, it does not feel like work to me. So it's finding those wee things and making them work for you, and you'll find your way. Because if you just follow joy, then you'll find your way. And that's what like the whole point of it is, to like actually be aware.
I've psychoanalyzed you within an inch of your life, like, and from knowing you for the past while, Thomas is one of the best people at giving advice, but one of the worst people at listening to his own advice. Okay. So that doesn't matter then. He's good at something, doesn't matter.
Like I would say advice coach.
I've always said this, like whenever me and Thomas first became friendly, I was really up to, like, I worse than what I am now, and he was very much like, you just need to stop worrying about stuff like you can't control. And I'm like, you know what, yeah, you've got a point. And I would say like where I'm at this present moment in time is like, actually, like I twig myself on sometimes. I'm like, right. And it's definitely part of it is like his voice in the back of my head being like, stop, but mainly you being like, stop being such a cock. Do you know what I mean? But like, you see, when it comes to like the flip side, you're not great at taking your own advice.
But you know, like if you enjoy giving the advice, that is something you can like narc down and be like, I actually really enjoy giving people advice, and then things turn into things. Like when I did fitness, I was like, oh, I love doing this. But when I actually sat down, I was like, no, I just enjoy motivating people to go to the gym. I don't actually want them to change their bodies. I want them to accept their bodies. Yeah. So it's about questioning all these things that like bring you joy. And I know you're saying like your job, but you're like, you want more. Yeah. But you can't have more.
Yeah,
but what?
Let's go.
This, I feel like this has become very about me. Like, I never got on the show.
It's the Tommy McCube show.
I don't know. Like, it's just, but like the easy answer is money. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like you only have so many hours in the day, and then you're going to work, and do you know? Yeah,
but do you not think you deserve to have something that you really enjoy?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. This is what we've been talking about. Is like, you hear all these people say like, oh, find your passion and you should love your job, and like, this was literally a couple of weeks ago we were talking about this, and I'm just like, is that realistic? Like,
but I just think it's not even about finding your passion and making it your job. Like I always say, do something on the side that makes you really happy, and then like sometimes that turns in. And there's so many opportunities to make money. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
Like there's, like I just think about even my like I hire all my friends, like all my people that work for me are all my friends. I just take them from their jobs and be like, here's, you know what I mean? They're good at something random, and I'm like, here, I'm going to pay you for this full time. Yeah, you know what I mean? So if you're actually good at something, then you can be paid for it. Because there's so much like work out there, and you've got like the whole world as your audience. It's not like back in the old days where you could only have 20 customers because you were in your local town. Like you have millions of customers worldwide. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
You have
well, the podcast is a job. Does somebody sponsor this podcast?
Nope. Do for free. We've had a few people like sponsor like episodes, but it's always like, I think
there's no fees, just free.
I'm positive. Like I think if we just keep going the way we're going, we're
how many episodes, Leon?
Nearly 100.
Oh my god! If you make it after 100, then you're making it.
Yeah, there we go.
That's fucking hope so.
Fingers crossed. I think.
What about Shed? I feel like we've just skipped over for a wee Shed.
I was having a wee think there whenever you're talking.
Okay.
I like. Are you laughing at? He's not taking this seriously. I like being creative, like creating things, and like cooking food.
Oh, I love that.
But like, where do you go from there?
There's so many options. Like, first of all, you like being creative. But I'm not going to be a
chef. Like,
okay, so if you don't want to be a chef, but you like to be creative, like there's things like design work.
But I do architecture.
Oh, well then you obviously, that's a job that you enjoy if you're creative.
Yeah, but I think on like a more, see, architecture is quite like, it's straight lines. It's not like creative, like, you know. Yeah. Being mad, like creating something.
But now it's an option of like actually trying things. The thing is, when people are like, find your purpose and do all this, I think that's bullshit. I'm just like, find something purposeful in your life and just like it. Like, you don't have to have your job as purpose. Put something at the side, and then all these twists and turns and corners. Like, I actually never thought I'd be where I am today. I just followed what I liked. And then like all of a sudden, you know, everyone bought my stuff and bought my course because they believed in me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just about finding, and then like people always be really afraid of, I've got this product. Like, you could sell a product. You have an audience here. You could sell a product. You know what I mean? All you need is 5 followers and you've got 5 customers. Yeah. You could be selling something to £500. There's so much options for that. And people have this fear of, well, someone else is doing that, especially like maybe PTs or people like that feel like, oh, well, everyone's a PT or everyone's a VA. And people buy people as well. And people don't understand that. Like, I always talk about this story going up. I was walking up a volcano and this guy was like, he was literally like 70 and he came up the volcano. There's loads of people going up and he came up with us. He's like, can I walk with these? And I was like, no problem. And this 70-year-old was pulling me up this volcano. Like, he must have been doing, did this every day. Yeah. And I was like, this boy's not white. Holding my hand, like taking me up. Anyway, and we got to the top of the mountain. And people are going past us in the mountain in fucking scramblers, by the way. It's not wise. Like, people in Bali are crazy. Like, it's actually the steepest thing I've ever seen up this volcano. People are going in scramblers. Anyway, so these people go past you. Anyway, you go to the top. All these people that are in scramblers are up there selling really nice cold Coca-Colas and Sprites. But your man that pulled me up is selling hot things out of his back, like hot Coke and hot Sprite, like disgusting, rotten, for like £5. And who did I buy it off? Bought it off him. He helped me up the hill. I bought a person. You know what I mean? People buy people, and that person has a same and better product, but I bought him. Yeah, because like like some people just connect with you, and just, you know what I mean, there's so much options out there. So like, you know, even simple things like making hoodies, making random merchandise. Here's the crack. Yeah. That's something so small, but if you bought 50 hoodies and you sold 10 and you made £20 a hoodie, you know, there's the first £200, and then next month then there's a little bit more, and you know, it's just about that little, you know, extra love, confidence, extra bit of joy and confidence in yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose sort of if anybody is sort of listening and wants to sort of start this sort of idea of this journey as such, what would you say is the best place to start in terms of like a book or obviously signing up to what you
obviously signing up to the Brave Way 21 meditation 21 day meditation course, Find Yourself by Sinead Hegarty. But so I definitely think books have changed my life 100%. The book I'd say the first book I ever read in terms of self-development was called Awaken the Giant Within, but it is a big one, like it's a 500 pager, small writing, but everything that I wrote in that book, because you can write in it like your goals and stuff, and I remember being like, as if I would ever get this much money for this and that, blah blah blah, but I wrote it because limited goals create limited lives in this book, and you're like, just go for it, no one's going to see this book. Geez, I look back at that book now and I'm way past all the stuff that I wrote down, because I put down the goals and I started to believe in myself. And for example, like, you're not going to go, say when someone says I want 100k, all right, you can't get 100k without getting 10k. So if you go 100k, you have to get like a k, and then you get like 10k, and then you're like, oh, I believe in myself. Once you start believing in yourself, it fucking comes in, because you're like, oh, let's go. So Awaken the Giant Within, amazing book. There's a great book called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It's good for like breaking down, he calls it bullshit rules, so like rules of society, like you need to have this qualification to do this and you need to have that. Very good book. And then what's the last? Are we doing a 3-booker? That's a 3.
Yeah, give us one more.
Okay, there's so many books though, it's too hard to.
I'm also going to apologize to the people watching, because my camera's just died, but it like only died in the past like 3 minutes. So
okay, maybe the book isn't worth it then.
Yeah, go on ahead.
You can do it in audio.
People are still listening.
This is an audio exclusive.
There's a lovely little nice one called 101 Essays to Change the Way You Think. Love that one. It's very nice to read every morning, and to just like start habits like I do. I think when you look at a successful person, that's what I did. I looked at successful people and I was like, what do they do every single day? And they have small habits they do every single day that adds up to success. So every single day I read 10 pages at least of a book, and every single day I meditate. No, actually I'm lying, 5 days a week. Throughout the weekend I don't really have a routine that way. So I read and do my meditations and like journal. Self-awareness, I think, is definitely the key. Becoming aware of what you like, what you don't like, how to get there, why don't you feel deserving, all these things kind of bring it all up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is actually a first where we've talked for so long.
Oh, really? What
My
time is
camera
it?
has died. It's 9:10.
Oh.
This has been my favorite podcast.
Oh, you say that to everyone. I know the
swear.
rules of the game.
You can look back. Well, I don't think I've ever said
Knowledge.
that. Like I've said after podcasts, I've been like, that was good.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could sit here for an hour.
Yeah, I think we could definitely
Or do
therapy.
Yeah.
Sessions.
Therapy with
You should get a therapist in here.
Send is a good one.
The meditation.
I've got
ones are still in
plenty.
Yeah. But yeah, that honestly, that was class. Yeah, so obviously if people are wanting to if people are listening to this and think, you know what, I want to give this a crack, Brave
Yeah.
Way.
So the Brave Way is my company. So my name is Sinead Hegarty on Instagram. Most people just know me, Sinead Hegarty. And the Brave Way, and you'll get all the braveway.co is where you're going to get the meditation course and my book. And my podcast is the Sinead Says podcast.
Yeah.
And I also have a ring company, so Tranquility Rings. You'll hear them here.
Yeah.
Some more.
Love it.
They are used for when you're nervous and you can spin. See the way you're spinning that thing there? If you had a ring,
So-
you'd be spinning it.
Yeah.
So it keeps you from like pulling out your hair, pulling out your eyebrows, picking your nails. So that's
Yeah.
another company that I have.
We're
And
actually
that's
meant
it.
to talk about that, but we just not
Yeah.
enough time.
Well, we already did. There it is.
Yeah.
I have so much going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
too much, you know.
I think we're gonna have to get a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only
If
here for
you-
another 2 weeks,
Yeah,
guys.
and
So
then we'll
Oh.
fly out for a therapy session. But honestly, thank you so much for taking
Thank
the
you for having
time.
me.
And yeah, definitely, if you haven't already, go follow Sinead and anything like that. Go sign up to it because we have been enlightened. But no, thank you so much for coming on.
no problem.
Thank you.
Sauce.